And it's lights out.
Welcome back to Drive Thru Penalty. I'm Sean. We are here with my father, Craig, as always. We've officially wrapped up the Chinese GP and we are moving into round 3, which is taking place this weekend at Suzuka in Japan.
Okay, so we got a lot to cover this week. We got to cover last week's results, the upcoming race, where there's always some tidbits we throw in there. And you're going to do a sim lap for us, as usual.
If you don't watch our videos, I do a lap every week at the upcoming race so that you guys can get a better feel for what the track and the circuit looks like. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Let's jump right into last week's race in China.
I loved it. And there's more than one reason that I loved it. I loved it. I did get a cold from it, though. It must have been the gushing of air in China. But I was really impressed with Kimi Antonelli. And the youngster won his first race. He's the youngest ever to win a Formula One race. He won it handily over his partner, George Russell. I'm going to predict that race is going to be very good this year. I don't think Mercedes will be giving anything to George Russell, not early anyways. The other thing I loved was the two Ferraris. I mean, I'm starting to really enjoy this whole new racing that we're getting this year. I mean, I don't care if I don't know when the battery's going or whatever. I just love the fact that they're running side by each and they're passing each other. And do you remember a race that was that much fun last year?
No, I mean, when do you get to see, my two boys, Charles and Lewis, go head to head for, I don't know how many laps that was. It felt like an eternity. As a Ferrari fan, I was excited to see them race. I was excited to see them right in the action at the front of the pack.
So? They could have taken each other out.
Yeah, I was terrified the entire time. As much as I enjoyed it, yes, I was scared that one was going to hit each other. But it was nice, clean racing. They both said, it was awesome. It was fun, even on the mic during the race. The drivers are liking it so far. I agree. I don't know if these new regulations are, as negative as we had originally looked at. For me, as a fan, I just want to see good, hard racing, and that's what we've got so far. So if this week in Japan is anything like the last two...
The general consensus out there is that the qualifying's not as good, because the qualifying should be a really, really hot lap. And it's not, because they got to save that battery in certain areas. But other than that, I mean, wow. There's a lot of new strategy these guys have to learn, but I'm enjoying it so far.
So far, so good. I expect to see the same usual suspects at the front of the grid here in Suzuka this weekend. I mean, we didn't see McLaren on the grid at all last weekend, so what a shame for those guys. I think a funny stat was...
How come when you're saying what a shame, you're grinning?
The safety car has done more laps than Oscar Piastri this year, which is no bueno. But
he hasn't got any points, though.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't have any points. Yeah, but fingers crossed for another good race this weekend. I think we were snoozing last year in Japan, so let's see how this one goes.
Sean, tell us about Suzuka, because I got some questions.
So this week, as you know, we are in Suzuka, Japan at the Suzuka circuit. The track is 5.8 kilometers long, 53 laps, no DRS zones, and we have ourselves a figure 8 circuit that is full of high-speed corners, and we're going to see a ton of action.
What's the first corner like?
So corner 1 and 2 is not your traditional high-braking first corner that you see at most other circuits. This is a very fast, sweeping right-hander that is absolutely punishing on the tires. You'll probably see drivers be going flat out in qualifying. If you make a mistake on any of these corners, you're in the gravel pit. So I expect to see some cars hit the gravel in qualifying, and I also, as I always say, expect to see a little chaos here at turn 1.
What's the weather?
So I looked into the weather this weekend. I think we're calling for a little bit of rain on Thursday. Again, that's your practice session. Friday, Saturday, Sunday should be pretty good. So if you are a fantasy player, which we're going to be talking about later in this episode, you're probably okay, not using your no negative chip this weekend. I think we can hold off to maybe at a later race like Brazil.
Too late for me.
Too late for this guy, but there are some other chips that we are going to consider this weekend. Again, we'll cover all this stuff later in the episode if you are an F1 fantasy player. And if you don't play, it's not too late. Just join on the F1 app. It's a lot of fun.
So through the turnstile in Japan, there's probably going to be around mid 200s, closer to 300. I think in the 10, 15 years ago, they were getting higher attendance. I think it could be when Honda pulled out and stuff. But Now that Honda's back in, and normally if you watch these shows, I always lean towards anybody who's got a home track. But I won't be this weekend because the home, it's Honda. And Honda has been an absolute disaster. And I think they've been working diligently for the last couple of weeks back in Japan. But I don't know how we could have any enthusiasm at all about Aston Martin.
No, I think Alonso said, maybe on the third race of the year, we'll start seeing these improvements. You'll start seeing upgrades, the first big upgrade package in Miami. I don't think you're going to see as much this weekend because of what's happened, postponing the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and the Bahrain Grand Prix. I think most teams are probably going to hold off because they have all that extra development time. We're still going to see some minor upgrades, but yeah.
So before we go any farther, I have a beef, and I might as well get it out of my system now. It's this Jonathan Wheatley guy that's a team principal at Audi. And, he announced this week that he's stepping down from the team principal. And if it's his health, I'm going to cut him some slack. But nobody's talking about health. They're talking about, well, he misses England. He's in F1. Even if you lived in England, you're only going to be there for about 2 weeks a year anyways. And he's living in Switzerland. That's not so bad, okay? The other one was he wasn't getting along well with Binotto. Binotto is like the chief engineer for them. But I heard that, they had an office with an open door in between and they got along fantastic. There's rumors out there, and they're stronger than usual, about him going to Aston Martin after Newey stepped down. And if he does that, shame on you. Because, that team's worth $2.4 billion Audi. They've only had it a year, so you can imagine what they paid for it. And to have this huge investment behind you, and week 2, you pull out. By the way, you got more points than Aston Martin has.
I was going to say, you're off to a good start too, right?
Well, yes. I mean, they're having some issues with the engine, but big deal. I guess I will promise you this. In the year 2030, Audi will be ahead of Aston Martin in the standings because Audi has a tremendous pedigree when it comes to auto racing. And the only thing I know about Aston Martin was James Bond.
So another team that I expect to do really well this week, and we haven't talked about yet this episode, but Haas is doing incredibly well right now. They're 4th place in the Constructors. Our guy, Ollie Behrman, is 5th in the Drivers' Champion right now. And, fantastic start. So,
yeah, I agree. I think Haas is a good pick. Japan has a little bit of history. Japan, I think 76 was the first race for Formula One there, and that's that one with the famous one where Niki Lauda, he bailed because of the rain, and James Hunt won the championship, and Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost had a big one, I think, in 1988, because it used to be at the end of the season. So there was a lot of championships decided there. It's notorious for rain. You said we got a bit of a break. The interesting thing is when they first came to Japan, they were the only Asian race until 1999 when Malaysia got it. So they were it, and they missed a few years because of the economy and things like that, but they fought their way through all this time. It does have an historic presence in my mind, and I remember last year I fell asleep through the whole thing because nobody passed. But I think this year, because of the cars, there's going to be more passing, and if not, you can watch that beautiful topography in the background.
I do think we're going to see some good racing this weekend. These high sweeping, fast corners are going to allow these teams to regenerate their 9 megajoules of energy that they need to fully go flat out on these straights. So I don't think we're going to see as much downshifting at that final straight that we saw in Australia. Fingers crossed we got some good racing.
So Sean, why don't you show us the track? Get in your sim and let her rip. Now, if I may pick a car, because of the Honda engine, take us in an Aston Martin.
Okay, I can do that. Strap up, let's go. We are here at the Suzuka circuit in Japan. Up in 8th gear, flat out into turn 1. Gonna head to the outside, then take it in, down to 4th gear. And we are headed into the Esses. Yeah, we really have to watch out for these curves because they will send you flying. Just taking that inside line here. We are back onto the power. Almost slipped there. We are headed into the very tricky section known as Degner 1, Degner 2 here. Back on the power. And quick downshift all the way to second gear, just trying to find that apex. Back onto the throttle. Making our way through all the gears. Very, very fast section of the track. See a lot of passing here on the weekend. Breaking to that 50-meter board, downshifting to fourth. All the way down to third, just trying to keep it on track. Back onto the power. We are going to hit about 310 kilometers an hour around this turn, flat out. And the final section of the track, very tricky, downshifting all the way to third, cutting the inside down to second, and back onto the power. And that is a lap in Japan.
Thanks for that, Sean. At least you made it all the way around the track. I don't know if you could do that 2 in a row, but we'll see. I hope everybody does better this time around. But I think we should, we're at that segment where we talk about who we like. And why don't you give me your podium for this weekend?
Okay, so podium this weekend. I'm going to throw somebody on there that hasn't been on there before, but I'm going to say George Russell 1, Charles Leclerc number 2, Max Verstappen number 3.
Max is an interesting choice because Max has won the last 4 races in Japan. So he obviously knows the track well. I think Lewis Hamilton won like 7 or something. So he knows the track well too. I'm going to go George Russell. I'm going to go Kimi Antonelli. And I'm going to go Lewis Hamilton.
Okay, I have no problem with that.
Me taking a Ferrari.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, they look good.
They do look good. Yeah. That being said, I think this is a pretty good time to jump into the fantasy stuff because, as you know, we're early in the season. This is a great time to scoop up as many points as you can, but we're really just building the foundation of our team for the rest of the season. And if you followed last year, you played last year, you'll know that budget building is very, very important to putting that 2 premium constructor, 2 premium driver team that everybody aspires for the end of the year. So why don't we just jump right into it? Welcome back to the F1 fantasy segment portion of this video. If you're just tuning in for this, stick around for a couple minutes because we're going to cover our team builds, who to pick up, who to drop, and some potential chips to be using this week. So this is our team coming out of China. We are, we're pretty happy looking at this team. 6 out of our 7 assets made us money, and not just a little bit, but most of the drivers that could hit the maximum price rise did, as you can see here. It was unfortunate that Bortoletto did not do that for us, but fairly happy. We're up about 4.7 million so far after 2 races, which is getting us closer to that 2 premium constructor, 2 premium driver build. At some point soon, we're going to drop our 2nd premium driver down for the 2nd premium constructor because ultimately you're scoring more points when you have 2 premium constructors. Obviously, we want Ferrari and Mercedes in there, but if we were to do that now, which we can, we are going to have some pretty lousy Tier B drivers that are losing us money and decreasing our team value, which is not our priority right now. As you know, it is very important to build as much budget as you can. You can still be competitive and put up points every week and be building budget. So we're trying to find that happy median because ultimately, once you have that 2 premium constructor, 2 premium driver, and everyone else is trailing behind, you have a huge advantage. Even if it comes for the last 5-6 races of the year, that's your time to catch up and make that difference. Although that being said, we are 2 races short this year. We're losing the Saudi Arabian GP and the Bahrain GP, so less points on the table. Again, it's very important to have your team set up properly. So we are very happy with everything right now. We're going to jump over to our favorite tool, the F1 Fantasy Tools website. We're going to look at our 2 favorite features, which are the budget builder and the team calculator. So let's do that right now. We're going to do a little bit of analyzing here. Okay, so first things first, as you can see, I'm in the budget builder section here. And this is kind of where I like to start because I'm going to visually look at all of my assets to see where they are on this ranking, who's projected to make money, who's projected to lose money, how many points do they need to score in order to hit that maximum increase, all the way down to that maximum decrease. So looking at our tier A to start, we have the 2 top drivers at the moment projected to make that maximum increase of 0.3 million, and that is Antonelli and Leclerc. Antonelli could essentially DNF. We're not wishing that on him, but he essentially could and still hit that plus 3 million, which is great. Leclerc only needs to score 4 points this weekend, which I'm fairly confident he can. So if everything goes right there, there's your 0.6 million total. So we're moving in the right direction. But as always, tier B is kind of where I really like to look at the most and focus most of my time and energy on, because that's where you can increase or decrease the most in your team value. So we have Behrman. We are very happy with that, but we're going to have to make a couple adjustments. So even though Lindblad blessed us with another 0.6 million last week, he's no longer projected to do that this week. If you look at the points needed to score, he needs to score 5 points to hit the 0.6, which I'm still fairly confident he can. But all the guys above him are the guys that we're really going to be considering. Number one priority is get Bortoleto out of there, because he's going to be almost a guarantee to lose us money unless he hits that 24-point threshold, which is going to be hard to do in that Audi. So again, looking at our team real quick, we have Lindblad, Behrman. Those are really the 2 minus Bortoleto. So we're most likely going to drop Bortoleto and see if we can put Lawson in. And we're going to most likely potentially drop Lindblad and see if we can upgrade him to an Ocon. But then again, it's finding that sweet spot. If we think Lindblad is still going to get the 5 points and get that plus 6 million, then that's better than putting Ocon in to get the 0.6 million with 0 points. And he hasn't been performing this year, so that's just something to consider. Looking at our constructors, we have Ferrari, who's up there. We have Haas, who is the tier B top pick for our constructors. They could have essentially both drivers DNF and still hit that maximum threshold of plus 6 million. Ultimately, we want to get Mercedes in there. If you guys have Mercedes, you're in a good position. Obviously, you also have different teams than me. So use this to your advantage, because this is an incredible tool. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost any money. If you do want to subscribe to it, you get some added features, which is great. So highly, highly, highly recommend using this. The other really great feature on this website is the team calculator. This is going to give you a good idea for, let's say, you plug in your budget here. Mine is 104.7. Yours is going to be different. Just do a little refresh. This team is going to change here on the left to show what my best option would be based on all the simulations this website has run. And as I mentioned, it's better to have 2 premium constructors in there. So, putting Mercedes and Ferrari as your guys with 1 driver, and then your bottom of the bunch guys is going to score you the maximum amount of points, but you might not increase in your team value. So again, I like to analyze both, kind of see where I'm at, and make my best decision based on this. Aside from this, there are 2 chips that I am considering this week, and that is Limitless. It was an incredible race to use it last year. There was a lot of chat with some of our favorite creators like Rain. Basically, the question is, do you reserve your Limitless chip for sprint race weekends because there are more points to scoop up? The thought is yes and no, because the goal with using your Limitless chip is to have a bigger delta between a team using it and not using it. And, if you have your tier B drivers scoring all sorts of points, making all sorts of overtake in the midfield, then there's not a huge gap between your tier A and your tier B. So it might be a really good weekend to consider it. The only reason I would consider using it is if at least 6 of your 7 assets are guaranteed to make you some money. So I'm kind of right in that area right now. If I were to lock it in, this would be my team in the background, and Bortoleto, regardless, would be losing me money. The other chip I'm considering this weekend is Autopilot. If you have 2 premium drivers like Leclerc and Antonelli, or Russell or Norris or Piastri, and you're very indecisive as to who's going to score more points, it's okay to activate that chip. That is going to automatically assign your 2 times to the top scoring driver. So again, you could use your 3 times, 2 times. I'm going to be reserving that for a little bit later down the season. But those are the 2 chips I'm considering this weekend. If you guys have questions, please drop them below. Craig and I would be happy to answer them. Good luck, and we're going to jump right back to the video.
We had a lot of fun here last year, if you remember. Not so much in the race. Kind of foodies here, and we got Wagyu and we got sushi. I ate the Wagyu. He ate all the sushi.
Yeah, I'm living the dream right now. Give me that A5 Miyazaki Wagyu, and I'm a happy guy. Thanks again for tuning in as always. If you enjoyed the video, you can hit that like button. If you'd like to watch all the videos we put out before every race, you can hit that subscribe button. It really shows us that you support the channel. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of this journey along the way. Really means a lot to us. Enjoy the race this weekend, and
We're in Japan.
we're in Japan, and we're not going to wait until May to get into Miami. We'll put out some videos before that, but we'll see you all soon.